Okay, so we're recording now. All right. I will upload to YouTube later for those that would miss the class and want to watch the videos and wondering why they don't get the whole idea of the assignment. All right, so yeah, class is in session. Everybody, welcome. I hope you had a good week. I hope you had a good Independence Day, even though some of us say there's nothing to be happy about. My friend was telling me yesterday. I've not confirmed because I probably don't care. But my friend was telling me about that. That yesterday was announced that Twitter was going to be the Twitter ban was going to be lifted. I don't know how true that is.
It was a conditional uplifts, which means that there are some certain terms and conditions that Twitter
Conditions.
has to meet
Yeah.
for, well, let's be looking, but don't delete your VPN just yet if you're a Twitter
VPN,
person.
VPN all the way, man. VPN all the way. All right, let me put the Slack channel here so I can see if there's any. Okay. So for everyone on the call, I just want to know how the. I actually haven't checked the submissions, although I know some people have submitted already, but I haven't checked the submissions. So I just want to know if there were. I think that's the best way for us to start this class. Like, and what if there were challenges? First, not in the assignment. Onyi, welcome. Damilola, welcome. Ifi, Ijere, Ubina, hope you're well now. You're out of the hospital. I hope so. You can just drop that in the chat. Ethel, welcome. Uh, yeah, I think those are the people that we have for now. So I just want to ask, for the assignment that we had last week, please, anyone who has not, if you haven't submitted or you submitted and actually haven't checked the submission, so I'll do that this weekend. The idea is actually, ideally, the idea is to send out like for this coming week now, I'll probably send out the assignment that you're going to do today so that by Thursday you could round up on it. Friday I could review, then Saturday we'll come and talk about it. Any challenges that you face, but I kind of dropped that late, so that's why we had to submit last day on Friday. Um, so for anyone that has done the assignment or anyone who couldn't do the assignment, first of all, I want to know like if there were any challenges that you encountered in using Google Classroom or if it wasn't clear enough. This will help me to know how best to structure the instructions when I'm giving the assignments for this week. So please, if anyone did the assignment or couldn't do it or didn't have enough time to submit it, please let us know before we jump into this class. Yeah, I'll mute my mic.
So, hello everyone. Good morning. Hello everyone.
Is
Good morning.
someone speaking? Is someone speaking, please? I
Yes.
can't really hear
Good
you.
Yes.
morning.
Hello
Okay, good
everyone.
morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Oyi.
Hi. So last week, I actually couldn't come into the class, and probably I think it was my own network setting because every other person was able to access the class. And I'm actually really new to this, so I was kind of scared. I felt I'd missed out on a lot. And throughout the week I also tried to fix it, but however today I've cleared my schedule for the whole of today, so I'm going to sit back and watch that video and do my assignment and turn it in. However, I just want to say thank you once again.
Okay. All right. Most thanks goes to Roland for setting this up, and because he told me this like months ago, but it's just now that we're able to do it. So shout out to them for setting this up and keep the
Shout
conference.
out to Roland, by the way. Thank
Yes.
you.
Roland is always in the background, so shout out to him. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say that to be honest, right? This is um, UX design is okay. So let me not assume, but I'm someone who likes I like designs right from when I was a kid. My dad used to have this. old time magazines, right? Time magazines, economists. So I know that personally, I used to like looking at the adverts. I used to like looking at the typography. Even though I didn't know what the terms were, I just like visual design. Still now, I like things, architecture. I follow accounts on architecture and stuff like that. So I think if beyond just design, if you generally want, if you desire to make um, things better for people to use, right? If you desire to make things better for people to use, you're already on your way. I don't know if I have. There was some time in the office where I worked where, yeah. If you desire to make things easier for people, right? That's where I want to start it from. Don't look at UX design as just, oh, designing for websites or mobile. Look at it as primarily trying to make things work better for people. For instance, right? I don't know if you've ever visited a apartment complex, right? A huge apartment complex that probably house like 50 flats. Have you ever asked yourself, right, how easy it would be for someone who is using a wheelchair to go to the fifth floor or to go to the third floor or the second floor? Have you ever wondered? Like, just think of it today. The building where you are now, if you are in a first story, one-story building or two-story building, is it easy for someone with a wheelchair? Tifa, you say you can't hear anything. So is there anybody that can't hear anything as well? Hello, hello. Please, if you can hear me, can you just unmute your mic and let me know if everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
Okay.
I
So
can also hear you.
I
All right,
can hear you too.
Hear you.
okay. So
I can hear you, but
Tifa,
your voice is low.
it's low. I'll try as much as possible to enunciate more. All right. So if you can't hear, just my voice is okay. Voice is low. I'll try and shout. Yeah, I'll try. I can't. I don't really speak that loud, but I'll just try as much as possible. I wish I wasn't using the earphones, so maybe the computer might be better, right? So this is how I want you to approach UX design, right? Think of it as you're trying to help people move from point A to point B. For instance, you go to a building, right, that houses 50 people because the landlord can walk with his two legs, because the people that build the house can walk with both legs, because most of the people that are coming to rent the house are maybe they are driving cars or they can walk with both legs. Most people don't think about that 5% case or that 10% case where there are people who cannot access the building with just their legs. Maybe they have to use crutches or they have to use a wheelchair, right? Now that is this probably it's probably called there's a term for it. I think um, is experience space designers. I think that's the official name, of space experience designers, right? But imagine that all of us now today we can walk, and it's very easy for you to just walk up the flight of stairs to your apartment or to the third floor to your office. Imagine if, God forbid, something happens and you can't use your legs. How easy will it be, right, to assess um, where you live? Look at it that way. Let's look at another scenario whereby this has happened. Which um, there's this which airport is that? I think it's the Abuja airport, the departure lounge. I wanted to go and use the restroom. And imagine immediately you open the door, you can literally see people using the convenience, right? In a place that actually makes sense, what you should actually see is that when you open the door, there is a barrier first. Then it is when you now go in and turn to your right or you turn into your left that you now see people using the convenience, which means that you can't see people struggling to wear their trousers or standing. You know, people have their privacy. and their dignity. That is how convenience should be designed. But instead, there are places where you just go, whether it's a restaurant, sometimes a highbrow restaurant where you can pay 10K for food that is not even, that doesn't even have teeth, and then you go to use their restroom and it's just a mess, right? So look at it as, um, think of it as you are trying to make things easier for people. That's the first way. Don't be, because trust me, coding is harder. I'm a developer as well, and I can tell you that. I'm not saying UX design is easier, because trust me, it's not about the beautiful things you see on Behance or Dribble, right? It's about thinking, how do I make things easier for people? That's as simple as it is. That's just what UX design. So don't be intimidated by it. And also, I said it in the first class, and I'll say it again. You can actually learn these things on your own. But the beauty about having other people in a class like this, or having an instructor, I and Chike, and all the other people that will be helping out, is that you can ask questions. Trust me, it's better when you are learning as a group. And someone sent me a message during the week, and the person I said to, after I answered him, I said, please try as much as possible to use the Slack to ask your questions. Reason being that if I answer, someone else can also get benefit from that, right? So we all learn from each other. So someone asks a question, two other people might see it and say, "Oh wow, I actually had that question before. I didn't feel confident to, I didn't feel confident to talk about it because I wasn't sure if people look. This is ground zero. Everybody started from ground zero, so be comfortable in the class, ask questions. I actually prefer that we use the Slack channel to ask questions as opposed to the WhatsApp group, because it's easier to track uh, what people are saying. And some of us are probably more than like 30 WhatsApp groups. So it kind of makes sense that we have one place that is just focused on UX design. So please, 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 if you haven't joined, I saw people joining. Let me see. Let me check that. I saw people joining the group as at this morning. Yes, someone joined the group. If your if your name if your number ends with triple one and you're on the class, yeah, they joined the group this morning. Please, please, please. Hopefully everybody, if you're not on the Slack channel, please join the Slack channel. I'll be posting. Sorry, I was kind of really busy last week, but I'll be posting links to some of the stuff I've saved on my pocket for like the last 4 years or the last 3 years. I'll be posting them, read upon them. I'll still say it again. If this class is the only time you come to hear about people talking about UX design or UI design, or experience design in general, you wouldn't be able to get the beauty of this group. And I also encourage people to um, interact on the Slack group. Some people asked about, questions. In fact, questions that probably I didn't even think about. So people ask, how do we write a brief and all of that. Please, 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 please join the Slack group. Roland, if you can share the link here. It's nice that people are joining WhatsApp, but I actually prefer that people join the Slack group as well. Okay, so for those that actually did, we heard from Oyin, so just joining the class. For those that actually did the assignments, maybe I should just open just check the people that submitted on the Google class. If you have any issues, please, can we just address that before we go into the class properly today?
Yeah, sorry, for the
Yes,
assignment, I still have an issue.
yes.
So, yes, we're to develop a design brief. Well, I wish you could have explained like how, to what extent, because you know, of course, we have to Google what the design brief is, and we don't have all the information. I felt like it would have been nice to tell us that look, just fill in as much as you think you know, and as we go on, yeah, because for example, I have no idea of budgets.
Okay.
I can just say that you know that okay, I'm going to need ABC, but the budget itself, I cannot assume a budget maybe because I like to be particular about things. So I just felt like
Okay.
I wish I could get more direction and encouragement on that.
Okay. All right. So a design brief. So there's a design brief and there's the project specifications, right? So a design brief is basically kind of like an overview. It's meant to be like a one page or a two page about the product. right? It's when you're now going to like a product specification document that you now list, okay, you should do this, that, these are the costs, this is the timeline and all of that. But, and the reason why maybe I should have been more explicit, but the reason why I kind of just posted it like that was I wanted people to, as much as possible, go out and um, make their own findings on what a design brief is, right? Just I wanted people to actually go out and make the research on what a design brief is. So you probably wouldn't need to necessarily get what a price point is, because take for instance, if you so I learned, yeah, I'll just be doing random things. And so I learned recently that the guy that I like this song by Olamide on his album, I think is, I think it's both Loading and Eru, right? I don't understand Yoruba, Sha, but I like the song very much. So I had to go and find out who the producer was, and it was this 90-year-old guy who is absolutely killing it. Now, if you were to tell people, if you were to want to make a song and you went to, um, I think Prime, that's what his name, to make a beat for you, it's quite different from if you were to go to Timbaland, right? So in this case, we're not focusing on the cost of the things. We're more focusing on how do we want the song to be? Do we want it to be Afro hip hop, high life, pop, reggae? That's what we're focusing on. So it's just like a general overview of what the project is going to be. I don't know if that's clear. But in the second assignment, or the one I'm going to post this evening, I'll try as much as possible to be clear in the description. And also, please, if you don't understand it, just let me know in the Slack channel. I prefer that we use the Slack channel as opposed to the WhatsApp group, so I can. And I'm in so many WhatsApp groups, but please let's use the Slack channel for that. All right. Any other issues in terms of submitting? Like Roland took me on a crash course on Google Classroom. I've heard of it before, but I've actually never used it, and it was pretty cool. Okay, yes. Messi, you were saying, do we? Yes, you definitely have um, corrections on that. I was kind of hoping we'll be able to do that at the class before we go into, that is today, before we go into proper, but I apologize. I actually haven't been able to go through all of them. So maybe what I'll do today is I would extend the submission date for till uh, tomorrow is Sunday. Cool. Okay, I'll also extend the submission date for those that probably didn't, that are just joining today. So you'll probably be able to submit Sunday 12 noon. That will be the submission date. I'll also post that in the Slack channel for others. EJ said, I'm on the Slack channel also. I was not able to submit my assignment because I got the info late. I just joined the group. Sorry, IJ, if you're on the call, when did you join? When you say you joined the group, was it the Slack channel or the WhatsApp group? IJ, you're muted. Okay, the WhatsApp group. Please make sure that, wait, let me see if I can share. Let me see if I can share a link to the, invite people to, okay. Okay, copy invites. Yeah, you can copy invites. Okay, so let me post that here. And I'm going to post that on the WhatsApp group as well. Solid jumps here. Okay, so I've posted I've posted to the chat here. I just joined the class, but I don't seem to understand anything yet. Yeah, Omotayo, hold on. I would absolutely advise that after this class, so this class is about, just in case you signed up for the cybersecurity class or any of the other classes. This class is specifically for the UI people that want to learn about UI and UX design. We started last week, so we had the first class, and the video is up on YouTube. Um, Video is up on YouTube, so please, I think it's about an hour long or so. But if you can't watch, actually advise that you watch the entire video because it has. We talked about things that you're going to do on your assignment or the first assignment, and it's actually important that you actually write that assignment, right? Submit that assignment. Um, Okay, so before we did some introductions last week, but we're already 30 minutes in. So before we go on, I just want to for Michael to introduce himself and just I don't know if there's yes, Michael to introduce himself first. And if you're just joining now, please introduce yourself and what you do currently. You don't have to mention the name of where you work or anything, just give us an idea of what you do currently and why you're joining this class. All right. So Michael, go on IG. I'll respond to you in the chat. Michael.
Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. My name is Michael. You can call me Michael or Satoshi. So a product designer with 3+ years experience. I've worked as most of my career is mostly freelance, but I'm currently a lead designer at a fintech company. I'm going to mention the name. So I'm going to be an assistant instructor. So in case you're trying to reach Gabriel and he's not available, I'll probably be available to assist you with anything that you need concerning the progress of this course and maybe your careers also. So that's me. I'd like to meet everybody too.
All right. So for IJ, please just search for UI UX. Just go into the group and search for UI UX. I think you should find it. I also had to search for it myself. All right. So who else is joining for the first time? I think so
Hello.
I'm seeing yeah, please go ahead. Who's that? Who's speaking?
Oye.
Oh, you okay. All right, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Um, I'm excited to be here this morning. Thank you once again for the opportunity. So I'm actually a bit, I won't say I'm pretty new in the tech space, although I'm a creative myself, and but I've actually worked with lots of other tech guys, and I decided I wanted to go into the UI UX space because I want to be a product manager. I'm already taking my project management courses seriously, and then adding agile to it as well. I also want to be a cloud engineer, so I'm studying towards that as well. And so that's it. And yes, because originally I started as a salesperson. I've always been very fanatical about data analytics. So I'm putting my head, legs, and shoulder into these three. I know everybody says choose one, choose one. Hey, everyone should mind their struggles. This is me, and these are the things I want to do, and these are the things I pursue every day. Thank you. And yes, Mr. Matsushi, I'm actually excited. You are our co-programs manager here because you just said right now that you are a manager. So
No,
please,
I'm not a
I
product manager. I'm a product
you're
designer.
a product designer. Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think um, there's always like this mix up between like a UI UX
A
designer and a product
designer and
designer.
a
So in the
manager.
course of your career, yes, in the course of your career, you understand the difference.
Okay, so is this something that can just be cleared out pretty easily now? So I know because see the thing is this, I'm surrounded by two techies in my house, as in two techies, and they are mad techies. And one has been in this space for 15 years, and he's doing really mad things. And the other one just started her journey, and she's a data analyst, and she's
Okay.
about I think 4 years into the game. But me, I've been the one saying, I'm not a tech person, I'm not a tech person. Now I now realize how dumb saying that is. How can you say you're not a tech person? I use a computer, I use a laptop, and you're struggling to do one or two things with your phone. How can I say you're not a techie? And I decided to now put my legs, shoulders, knees, and toes into it now. And now I'm now seeing the different um in fact, one person just told me different, like you just said now that you're not a designer. So you're a designer, not a manager. I feel as if I've been beaten against the ground. I have to go and research and find out what the differences are. Well, anyway, I'll be in your space. That's what I wanted to say. And I don't like disturbing people. I might just come to you from time to time to just ask you if I'm doing well and if there are more things I'll be needing to add. So please oblige me. Thank you. Bye. I'm shy.
All right. Please, if you're in a noisy location or you, um, yeah, just consider rest before you unmute your mic. All right. I think so. Okay, Michael, can you just go ahead because I have something in my slide, but please can you just go ahead because I prefer to call myself a UX designer as opposed to a product designer, even though those roles get conflicted at times. So can you just tell us the difference? I have something in my slide, but please
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. So the only difference between a product designer and a UI UX designer is for as a product designer, you're not just thinking about the user alone, like how the product that you're going to be working on affects just the user alone. You have to be able to create a balance between how it affects the user and how it affects the product owners or like the stakeholders involved in that particular product. So UI UX designers are usually user advocates. They are more concerned about, oh, are the decisions we're making going to be in favor of the user? Is this research actually going to affect how the UI works for the user? So they're very particular about the users. But as a product designer, you can't do that because when it comes to trade-offs, like things that you have to give up, the user cannot always get 100% satisfaction all the time. There are things that the user has to give up in order for the business to be able to thrive. Because at the end of the day, the business has to work. If not, you don't have a job. So it's your job to make sure that there is a very good balance. So that is your job as a product designer. And the major difference between that and a UI UX designer.
Yeah, perfect. And something to add because at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, we as designers or anybody in this field, um, yes, we champion the rights of the users. We try to make uh, the users journey throughout your product be as easy as possible. But also at the same time, for the person that is paying your salary, you also have to kind of align business goals along with what the user needs to do, right? So um, there are these things where okay, let me not mention that, but basically you have to if the business so I don't want to mention this company in case one day I need to apply to them, right? I need to apply to them. But let me just talk about yes, before somebody pull out this video. But let me talk about social networks. Let me talk about social networks in general. We all know that um, people say, oh, detox, you should stay away from social networks because the fact that the way notifications are driven is that every time there's a notification, someone likes your picture, someone comments on it gives like a rush of dopamine to your brain, right? As a designer, you might know that, or as a UX researcher, you might know that, and you'd be like, okay, oh, the way I want to design this product is that people look, social networks are designed for you to spend time on the app. That is a business goal. You as yourself, you might say, okay, you want to be ethical and you don't want to do that. You want people to be able to take breaks from the app. But the business on this side is saying we want more people to be on this app so that we can serve them more ads. And so that if we have a longer duration of people on this app, we can sell that data to advertisers, right? So you have to, as a product designer, you are more long term. You might start as the UX designer for the product, but over time you might switch into a product designer role whereby everything, some people from UX designer just go from one project to the other, but a product designer might stay long term and try to, as much as possible, align business goals according to what the user needs and all of that. So I don't know if it's clear, but I have one slide in my presentation today, and also please, this roles get conflicted a lot most times, as most of us that will be probably after this class or after the end of this class, you might try getting employment into somewhere. You might be only one or two people in the doing all the work, right? So you would have to switch. You have to switch roles. Even the stakeholders that you have to speak to, we have different tiers of people in this, but most times based on the size of the company, you might be the only UX designer, or you might be the first one, or you might be just like two people. So you might have to juggle multiple hats. It's like the entrepreneur that is starting up business and wants to have a team of 50 people around it. Whereas, but in the real sense of the word, you actually have to do most of the stuff from the one. All right. So, yes, please, for those, I'll still say this again. So I'll open up the, what's it called? The submission date till Sunday noon. So please, if you missed first class, go and watch the videos. It's been posted in the Slack channel. It's been posted in the WhatsApp group. The good thing about Slack is that you can go and see previous chats that happen in that Slack, as opposed to um, a WhatsApp group that you join and you don't have access to any of the conversations that happened before you joined it. All right. Okay, let me just start. Um, that's interesting. And these guys are 1 minute away from having me to start dancing. So can anyone see my screen right now?
No, I can't.
Okay, just give me
Gabriel, don't forget that you're on mute.
Okay, sorry. Oh boy, sorry. I was on mute for a minute. Okay. All right. So let's see. All right. So last week we kind of went into an introduction on what UX is. We actually did. Oh my goodness. There are actually more people on this call that we didn't get their introductions, but hopefully maybe we can do that before the class ends.
I
Thank you for
think I
joining us.
think we can do that in the chat section.
Oh,
So
we can do that
that's
in the chat. Yeah.
yeah.
So please,
Wow.
or even better in the Slack because the chat is going to go away. So
True.
please, yeah, please, if you're just joining the class, can you do us a favor and also um, do us a favor and just do like introductions in the Slack channel, right? So especially if you are audio shy. Okay, let's get started. So on last week's episode, we just talked about UX briefly. What is UX design? What is UI? What is UI? What is UX design? We had a very nice conversation whereby I brought some examples of some badly designed products, not necessarily digital products, and we had a good discussion as to what constitutes good UI and what constitutes bad UI, and we touched briefly on design brief. So for this week or for today, we'll be talking about UX roles and research and need finding. And this is going to constitute a large part of what our assignment is going to be this week. All right, so let's get into it. So there are different roles in UX, right? And actually there's actually more than this. But from something I've learned over the years is that um, based on the size of usually there are more people when the size of the company is huge.
Gabriel, some people can't hear you. Your voice is low. So
Oh, so, okay.
increase the volume.
Hey, Jesus.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Jeez, I'm almost screaming. Okay. So yeah, in a company, depending on where you get to work, there are lots of different people wearing different hats and UX and doing UX roles. But what you would really notice is, especially for startups, which is where I have a little bit of experience in, is especially with startups, there's the possibility that you as a UX designer or oh man, I should have switched my internet. So just hold on. Wait. Let's get this post straight. All right. So what usually happen is what usually happen is that as a UX designer, you join a company, and most times you might be the first designer there, or you're just two designers there, and you guys will have to do the bulk of the work. You wouldn't necessarily have someone who is a dedicated UX researcher, or you would have someone who is a dedicated UX writer. You would actually have to double down and
Daniel and
work.
Gabriel, your voice again
It's low.
is very
Hey,
low. I think that background thing that you did is
okay,
probably
okay,
also
okay.
suppressing your voice.
Yes, yes, definitely. Um, let me see if I can fix that. Let me just. Okay, so I've switched the settings. If you can see my screen, I've switched the settings to just low. I hope that helps. I really hope that helps because If I if I scream too much, my throat is going to start hurting. All right. So, like I was saying, let me check the chats. I think yeah, ambient noise of the PC, which isn't loud enough. Yes. So currently, for those that are just joining, or for those that didn't hear what I said, I heard there's a meeting. There's like a party happening at the park that is very close to me. It's very close to where I live. So the noise is coming in, and I apologize once again. I came back in this morning and I saw that they were setting up, so I didn't have enough time to choose a better location. All right, so you have the UI UX designers, you have the product designer, which Michael has kind of explained a bit. Then you have researchers and you have writer. If you are just one or two people in the team, trust me, you're probably going to be doing UX design. You're also going to be the researcher. You're also going to be the well. You might have a communications department that does the writing for you, or you might have the marketing team that does the writing for you, right? Because I know even writing copy for website is definitely not my strong suit. So let's get into it. So basically, a UX designer is what the general term or that and one of the things which we want the people from this class to graduate into. Basically, they cover all the full spectrum of the UX from all the key stages down to designing of the product, getting feedback, doing testing, doing usability tests, doing usability reviews of the product, right? And most times, in general, UX designers, we consider UX designers to be the people that design the buttons, the screens, the templates, or whatever of the product, right? And I said it in the first class that one of your roles as a don't the term I don't know what if there's actually a better term for it, but just putting designer at the end there makes it seem as if the only thing that you do is design. You have to do a whole lot of research, right? You have to do a whole lot of research, and even though there are people who do that, I worked somewhere whereby we were actually opportune to have one person who did a whole lot of the research for us in terms of the product. So she would organize the usability section. She would organize and focus groups with people for particular apps that we wanted to build. That was stuff I used to do before. Run around, chase people, find out persons who would be willing to come test a particular app or a website with us, or something we're developing, or something that a client was developing and they needed feedback on. Right? So you as the UX designer, you would have to do a lot of times the visual design of the product, but the unsexy things such as doing research, gathering data, is what a designer does as well. So, say for instance, you wanted to build a house or something like that, you wouldn't just go to a builder or to Julius Berger and say, build this for me. You would actually want They would actually need to know, okay, what is it that you're building, who is the target audience. I think on week 3, let me see, somewhere on, yes, in week 3, which is next week Saturday, Chiki will be taking you guys on user journeys, user flow, personas, information architecture. I remember someone who started doing this, and he was like, why do I thought my work was just to come in here and design with Adobe XD. Figma wasn't popping then, but these are all the things that help to make a beautiful product. For instance, if you were, some of us here are using apps to buy crypto and stuff, and I don't know if any of you have used, yes, Zipper, yes, the black and yellow one. Michael, I don't know if you have used Binance before.
Yeah, that's my go-to one.
That's your go-to one. See, the first time I used that thing, I was, maybe because there's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot on it. It was stressful. I feel that it can be better. The experience can be better, but the kind of it kind is like they knew that not everyone is an OG in crypto, so they developed two kind of apps. One is like the pro, and one is like for the
Yeah.
beginner. So imagine having to lump all of that information into someone who just wants to buy.
Oh, I can hear this before.
Blessing, you can't hear.
Yes.
Hey,
Sorry, blessing.
The voice is very low.
well, this low voice something. Let me try. Let me just. I'm using external head. Or maybe should I? Hmm.
Please, I'm struggling to hear here too. I can't hear a thing.
Okay.
No matter, okay. The audio thing is the problem.
Let me switch to system. Okay. Is it better? Is my voice better?
Yes, it's better from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please
It's
also,
better now.
also indicate in the chat if it's better, so we know.
Okay. So I'm using the laptop audio. So hopefully it's better. Yeah, it's way better.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the way forward. Sorry guys. Okay, this is the way forward. I thought using the mic on the mic on the earphones would make it better because of the noise. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. Okay. So a lot of us here are probably going to be. This is probably going to be your role, except for what's her name again? Is it Onyi that wants to be like a proper tech bro? I'm not saying as a UX designer you're not a tech bro, but
I was going to say, how is that not making you a UX designer, not being proper tech bros?
It's for tech bros, right? No, she has like a whole a larger spectrum. But one thing is for sure,
Sure.
anything you learn from each of those places are going to be, they are all transferable skills. They're all transferable
Yes.
skills. In 2017, a designer that works, a UX designer at Google that took us on a master class said that she's actually studied psychology in university and now she's a UX designer, because some of those skills are definitely transferable. And like I said, it's all about thinking about how people use things and how how you can make the lives of the users better. Okay, now that nobody's complaining, let me see. Okay, UX designer, internet, help me. Product designer. Yeah, so product designer, like Michael says, you pay special attention to the product. So sometimes they start off as yes, everybody's a bro. Is all round, all round, all round. So product designers, in my own opinion, sometimes they start as a UX designer, and say for instance you're working in a company whereby you guys are actually building they're actually building multiple products, right? Sometimes I don't know if this is the right term. Sometimes there are people that, okay, there are actually people that get called as the product owners or the product managers. But a lot of times, the product designer is probably someone that starts as a UX designer and is now given like specific, yeah, just it's kind of in FMCG they are called is it brand owners? Anyway, for back to product design, person pays special attention to the product. They usually work long term on the product and try as much as possible to align what the business goals are and with the user goals. So there has to be a balance, right? Every company wants to, as much as we want to change the world, every company also exists to make a profit and also at the same time help people make things better for people. So they are more beyond just designing screens. They are more they kind of build like what is the 6 months of this product going to look like? What is the 12 months of this product going to look like? I'm sure that for a lot of us, the apps, the way your apps, the way that the app that you're using today, there are certain apps on your phone that look different from how they are 6 months from the first time that you install them. a lot of times, even right now, there are things that Facebook is working on that we don't know. There are things that Snapchat is working on that we don't know. There are things that Paystack is working on that we don't know that are probably going to be unveiled in the next 6, 9, 12 months, right? So you as a product designer, if someone were to wake you up and tap you and tell you to explain what the roadmap of this product is, you are in a much better position than someone who just joins your team as a UX designer and is designing a particular feature. So they kind of have like a broad overview of the vision of that product, and it's more they're probably be working on it for a longer term and they take like real ownership of it. So I know there are in certain companies who they have different concurrent products running, and there is one person who is kind of like the go-to person when it comes to explaining what this product does and what 1 year, 2 years of what the product will be. So usually you start as, even though these terms get used interchangeably, but most times they start as UX designers and then or become product designers. Or if they are hired as a product designer, they know that their focus is specifically on this product, and who knows, it might be on a particular feature. So if it's a large product, maybe you might just be. I've seen some roles that are just focused on a minute part, of a product, and they're just product designers that are hired for that role and that role only. Okay. So UX researcher is no, I don't know. This is definitely a wrong. Let me see. Let me just stop sharing my screen here. This is actually a wrong slide. Let me see what I have. Okay, so basically, UX researchers they are the ones that go in and let me see if I can find. Oh man, I've created too many slides for the future classes, and I think I've gotten them mixed up. Okay, let me see if I can find my notes. Okay, basically, a UX researcher is someone who uses qualitative and quantitative methods to gain, provide information about the real users that designers will then use to do their designs. So, like I said before, researchers are not, they might not necessarily be people who design, they might not necessarily be people who design, but the focus of this class is actually to take us through some of all these things so that if you are in a position whereby you have to do all these roles, you kind of have an idea of all these particular roles and you can fit into them. So, take for instance, there was a time when we were building an app for young people, right? And we wanted to know, first, we needed to get the demographic. We did the research to find out what are the demographic of people who are going to be using this. So we got that, and since my office was close to to Unilag and Yabatech, we actually went and did interviews. We asked people. We just did like what's it called, a guerrilla user research, where we went and we actually spoke to people and to find out, would you like to try this, what are your habits concerning this particular topic. Some people eventually were able to get them to come into the office, and we sat down with them and we did a focus group. We had one with people for two demographics. We had like guys and we also had ladies, and we had a nice meeting where we talked to them. We had questions that we needed to ask them, which we crafted, of course, and we asked them. Some of those insights helped us to build the app, and we launched it in about 9 to 12 months later. It was kind of a very long research, which we were doing for a particular NGO, and I would say it was a success because the biggest, I think the biggest part of the work was in terms of speaking to people, right? If you are going to design as a UX designer, if you are going to design, if people are going to use your product and it's not just robots, you need to be able to speak to people. Unfortunately, something that I see happen a lot and still happens a lot in companies is whereby they finish getting all the programmers, they finish getting all the coders, and they go ahead to build the product. And not one time has anybody talked about, okay, wait. These people who are going to serve, these people who we want to use this, these people who we want to pay money to use this, can we even speak to them? Most times that is not considered. So UX researchers would use they will use different methodologies to go out, speak to people, to gain an understanding of what the users need, what is currently lacking in the market, and different ways in which they can use to improve the usability of the product that they are building. So, say for instance, you could use user interviews. You could build a prototype and observe users as they are using them. I love doing user observations whereby you build a prototype before you actually go ahead to build the entire thing. Maybe you build an interactive prototype. It could be in Figma, it could be in Protopie or Principle, and you now get people to sit down in the room and say, okay, please go from, we need you to be able to do this and that. Sometimes, because you are so focused on the designs that you're working on, is possible to see there are certain blind things, there are certain blind sites you might not have around your product. But when you put it in the hands of people and you see how they interact with it, you have a better idea to know that, okay, there are certain blind spots that I have in this particular place. There are certain things that people did not understand. Maybe this color is not descriptive enough, or this text in this particular place is not descriptive enough to help people to go ahead to get from point A to point B. Also, they will take all the data that is being gathered and use it to kind of get a summary of, and usually make that as design proposals to the company and say, look, we spoke to 50 people and most of them said they had trouble doing this, or they had trouble doing that, or this wasn't clear, or that wasn't clear. And can you now use that to build a business case for why your design should go this particular way, or your design should go this particular way? And also, even when the product is being built, most of us would know that till tomorrow, all the apps that we use on our phones, they keep getting updated. Sometimes you could even get updates as much as 2 times in a week, right? That's because people, researchers or designers, are constantly trying to find out better ways for us to do the same things that we've been doing for the last 2 years or 3 years. Once, I think in, I can't remember which year it was, but has anyone noticed that you can actually pull out your phone and check it now? Has anyone noticed that if you're using a particular mail app on your phone, has anyone noticed that usually whether you're using Gmail or is it Outlook, if you check it on, I don't know, okay, if I were to share I can't share my phone screen, but if you were to check on if you just pull out your Gmail, or you pull out any other messaging app that you use, any other email app that you use, you'll notice that just right at the bottom right, or the bottom left, depending on your settings, you'll see that there's an icon that allows you to start a new email address, that allows you to start a new email. I know that using Gmail on my BlackBerry that year, that wasn't there. Even using Gmail on my Android, as much as 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't available. And I'm sure it was because people said, look, researchers probably found out that, look, when people want to start an email, before, I know that Gmail specifically, if you wanted to start writing an email, you actually had to go to the top. There was a button there that allowed you to start a new email and start typing, but right now it's at the bottom. So if anyone can, it's something that you can just check right now. If you just go to the bottom of if you open your Gmail and go to the bottom of your screen, you see that there's a button there. Before, it used to be, is there anything in the chat? Messi, yes. Okay, sorry, sorry. Yeah, before it used to be a round button. Before, it used to be a round button with a plus, but right now is a button with a pencil, like kind of like a pencil icon, right? So constantly, these things keep changing. Researchers keep trying to find out best ways that they can make their products more usable for people. So research keeps on going. There's a friend of mine currently who is doing a research not directly for Facebook. The company Facebook actually hires the company to do that research, and they are planning on launching a product to the market. And since I mean it's just a conversation that we had, so I really can't speak about it. But basically, it's to enable people to be able to shop better from their from their Facebook profiles. It's something of that nature already exists, but they're still doing research about it and fine tuning it and fine tuning it. Some of us probably already know of Instagram shops, and I think Facebook is trying to do something similar to that on the app. So that research is ongoing. Every time, every day, there's probably one or two things that you can improve on your product. On your product, let me see. Yes, yes. So if you look at the chart, Michael just said in some cases several research methods may be applied, and in some use cases, just one research method might just be enough. Absolutely true. UX research is not, especially when you need to speak to people, UX research can get expensive at times. Like this is so usually what would happen is companies would come to us and say, okay, we have this product that we want to launch, right? This was where I used to work before. They would say, okay, we have this product that we want to launch, and we want to be able to test it with people and maybe make some modifications to it before we go out. So what we would do is we had a database of people who had signed up with us, and we would look at, okay, who are this, what is this project targeting? Is it students? Is it people that are working? Is it middle class income earners? We'll go through our database, file out those people, then we'll send emails to them. Emails didn't really used to work, so instead we'll send SMS messages to them. We'll tell them, please, can you come in from this particular time to this particular time? We would like to speak with you concerning this project. And we wouldn't necessarily give them money, but we would make sure that their airtime and also a launch pack was available. Sometimes user research can get very expensive, it can get very long. But if you are just people that are starting out, if it's just a young startup that doesn't have much money, sometimes I've actually gone to Ozone. I've stood at Ozone with a tablet, and as people are coming into Ozone at Yaba, I'll just say, please, we'll have like a Google form, or we have like a spreadsheet, and we'll just say, please, can I talk to you about this? Yeah, it's stuff that is kind of fun, because you just go there, and if you were shy to speak to people, well, that is your day of baptism. Because if you actually want people to if you actually want to tailor what your product offering is to the people you are targeting, you have no other option than to speak with them. You have no other option than to speak with them. I'm sure even for some of the products that we use right now, occasionally from time to time, you will get emails like, oh, please, could you participate in this research? Could you do this? Can you do this? I know that my internet service provider, for instance, occasionally from time to time, they actually send surveys out and say, please, if you fill in this research, we'll be able to extend maybe your validity date, or would add increase your bandwidth or stuff like that. So it's something that currently is always ongoing. It's something that is always ongoing. All right. So yeah, the next one is, I think I'll be able to share my screen now. The next one is a UX writer. So let me share. This is a writer. Yes. Please, can everyone see my screen? Michael, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
Can anyone else see his screen? Please indicate in the comment section.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. All right. So a UX writer. All right. Cool. Let me pull up the chat as well. So UX writers. So again, the reason why we have to learn all of these things is so that you can know if you do actually go into a place whereby we have all these people, it's very easy for you to know who does what and who does what. A lot of times, a lot of times, you as the UX designer will be the one to write copy for the app, for the website. These are things that this was something I never really liked doing because my own is so I my trajectory started off as a UX designer, then I became a web developer. So most times when I work with my team and they bring the UX design, I'll say, okay, wait, this can be achievable, this might not be achievable, this and that. And for me, what I just want to do is I just want to go into code and build what it is that has been designed. Right. I don't the last thing I want to think about is what text goes here. So sometimes if you have ever visited, I don't know who, if you can just indicate it in the chat. If you have ever visited a website and you have seen something like lorem ipsum, if you have ever visited a website or ever
I have.
navigated to some,
Unfortunately, I have.
I saw it as recent as this past Thursday, like a full-fledged, like, as in the SaaS company. I don't know if no, I won't pull it up. There is a foreign company, sure. And I was just going through the website was beautifully designed, so I was just going through it, and then I stumbled upon this page that had lorem ipsum. So if you guys have ever stumbled upon lorem ipsum, it just shows that someone somewhere kind of forgot to write the copy for the website. So basically, a UX writer is someone who who is given the responsibility to craft copy being text, being words, right? In advertising, they are being called copywriters, right? In advertising, they call them copywriters. If you have ever watched a Nike, my video isn't. If
They're
you have
also
ever,
called content designers now.
oh, that's the
Yes, that's the
new.
new name that they're calling them now.
Okay, now wow,
Content designers.
it's all right. So content designer. So um, they craft. So if you've ever watched a Nike advert, right, and you felt like shelling out money to go and buy a pair of joggers or a pair of sneakers, that's a copywriter at work. For a UX writer, you are more focused. The persons are more focused on being able to explain or write copy in such a way that you can easily, once you just pick up the product, it's easy for you to navigate it and go ahead to do your task. So in terms of, let's say if you get a new app and you see those splash screens at the beginning that kind of guide you as to this is what you should do, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. Most likely is a UX writer that is involved in it. If you've seen release notes, I think one company that does release notes very well is, I think, either Slack or Medium. I don't know if I can remember. There's this particular app that I used to have that when the release notes are so nice, they tell you about. It's really fun to read, right? Or there are some websites where you go to and the way they write, the way they write their copy is so inviting. It has this very warm kind
I
of
think
feeling.
it's Slack. Slack
Yes,
has
it
like
has to.
the
Yes,
most empathetic copy
yes,
in the world. It's like it's
yes,
so
yes.
relatable.
Yeah, I think it's Slack. I was trying to think whether it's Slack or Medium because I know that there are people that write very beautiful copy. So
It's Slack.
yeah. So then there was this amazing thread. Let me note it down. Where is my yeah, where is this? Okay, let me start my video. There is this let me see if I can. There's this thread on Twitter, right, that was very, very insightful. I'll try and find it. Basically, it was trying to see how, I think I saved it in my bookmarks there. Which year was that? I'll try and find it and share it in the Slack channel. Basically, it was trying to see how SaaS companies, that's software as a service companies, how the structure once you land on their homepage, first they tell you about is a particular structure, and he brought like four companies. He had like four screenshots inside that tweet that talked about how a lot of SaaS companies explain their products. First, they tell you your problem. The first sentence they tell you your problem that you're trying to solve. The second sentence they talk about how no, the first sentence is about your problem, the second sentence is about how that problem can be solved, and maybe the third sentence is about how their product can solve that problem for you. Then the next call to action button is sign up for maybe 30 days, or there's like he actually gave examples of different, like is a structure that people have found that to work when people hit on their landing page. So you're not just someone who says. So even when designing websites, right, I've learned that sometimes, no, not sometimes, most times when you're doing a call to action, instead of saying something like, before, you could say, back in the days, you would say, yeah, you would say, okay, we do this, we do that, sign up, right? Instead, if you notice, a whole lot of the companies these days, instead of just saying sign up, they will say start making your life, like in the button they will say something like start making your life easier, or begin your journey, or get 30 days free, or 7 days, get your first 7 days on us, or something like that. That is way more actionable than just saying sign up, sign in, something, or get started. Like, they actually give you the benefits of, once you click this button, you can start enjoying the benefits of our products. Then you now have the people who write the explanations as to, okay, yeah, sorry, the documentation. There are people now who write the documentation for their products. One company that does absolute amazing documentation is um, Webflow. And not just, I think even their tutorials are like next level. Their tutorials
Yeah.
are next, because yeah, I'm learning Webflow now, and their tutorials are next level. Like, once you just see that guy's face, he's their VP. You know that guy. Once you see that guy's face, VP of engineering, that like that. I don't know if they actually have a script for him, or if he's just
I
introducing
think they
himself,
have a script. It's too
because
good.
it slaps. It's like it enters well. Like, yeah, imagine you're watching a tutorial and you are enjoying it, like it's amazing, right? So it's these are people that sometimes you, as a UX designer, you might be the one who is in charge of having to write this copy. And oh my goodness, sometimes the design is one of the things that actually hampers. I know in my own case, I'll speak specifically for my own case, is that you finish you finish designing. Most time my own is, okay, UX designer has designed this, please give me, let me see the layout, let me start building the layout. The words can come later. Sometimes the reason why an app might not launch, or the reason why a web application might not launch, is because even though certain things have been built in place, the words that are meant to accompany that have not been finalized, or maybe the thing has actually launched and you're still doing deployments, you're still changing text, you're still changing this, you're still changing that. If any of you have witnessed companies coming to pitch their startups, right, you will notice that sometimes what the person sees is actually more important than what the product does, right? If you have someone who cannot explicitly explain what their product does, usually investors or the people that are ranking them will just go with the person that is more energetic, the person that is more lively, the person that is able to explain what their product does for the user, and they are able to kill it and just go ahead. Whereas the people who they are, especially at hackathons, if any of you, I actually recommend that. Unfortunately, with COVID, opportunities have not been available for people to go in to have like in-house um, or in venue hackathons, whereby you see how people come and explain what their product, what their hack was able to do, what they've built over the last couple of 2 or 3 days, if you see how people speak, it actually gives you an inkling of what a UX writer does, because you are very, very involved in writing the words that go along with your product. You want to be able to explain as much as possible to whoever it is that is visiting your website what you do, how you can get the user to solve the problem that they are coming to the platform, whether it's an app or whatever. And it's people that who can do this very well. A lot of them I know, for because I have friends in advertising, and they are the ones that come up with the beautiful words that we read. In
Yeah.
UX, yes, in UX design, well, for in my own little experience, there are not so many people who do this. Like I said, as a UX designer, you might have to do a whole lot of hard, but our belief is that if you absolutely care about the people that you're designing for, you would want them to, as much as possible, understand what your product is about. And so, even as you are designing, you actually um, you actually want to also write good copy, or at least to the best of your abilities. To the best of your abilities. Most times, if you are just a team of one or two, one or three people, you might have like a communications unit, which is actually very important for every startup, for every company to have like a communications arm that is in charge of the newsletters. So the Tommy from Trove, the Uchi from Bolt, or is it Uber? All of those people, there's a communication team that writes all some of these newsletters that you get every week from some of our favorite companies, or the who is it? Who writes? Who do we get emails from? Paystack from? Paystack
I don't know,
or
but I know there's Okpe from Carrywise.
no, thank you, Okpe. Yes, Okpe is Okpe from Carrywise. So a lot of these companies have teams where they would craft like the messaging, right? So that just reminds me. Roland actually told me that I should. So during one of these sessions, we're probably just going to have a Saturday whereby we speak to, we have like a product team for one of these companies to come, and it's going to be like an EMA. You can come and ask whatever questions that you want to ask a product team. In fact, let me write it down because
Also, if later on when you start designing for firms or for companies, startup, always try as much as you can rather, to convince your customer or your client, however you want to refer to them as, or your boss, to hire a UX writer. Their value is so underappreciated. I have a friend that works at One Password, and before they hired their department, or like a new department of content strategy, just, and he said the moment they started working, they increased users by over 50%. I think they were doing 80% increment in like 2 months. That right now at One Password, nobody touches any design until the content people are done. That's how important they are. And as a UI designer, because it's not your specification, you cannot, it's very difficult to pull off that type, that copy the way a UX writer would. And the conversion is always even more, it's so amazing. It's really good. Like where I work, I know that like it's not my strong suit. I'm dyslexic, so I have problems with words. But I noticed that my boss is really good at that. So before I start designing, I'll tell him I need a Google Doc of all the copy we need. And I've been able to convince him and see the importance of it. So he does it even with his busy schedule. So it's possible. You can convince them. Or most times if you're doing freelance, what I do is I take, when I'm charging, I also consider the UX writer fee, because most times when you tell the client a particular amount, then tell them that you want to add a UX writer, it's almost always a turn off. So just charge everything and then hire a UX writer to do the copy. Don't underestimate their power. It will take your product to another level. I don't even design anything if I don't see copy, because it gives me a clearer picture of where I'm going to with the product. So something to take note of in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of times, usually, because I mean, content in a way is supposed to inform design, not design inform
Exactly.
content. Content is supposed to inform design. So, but unfortunately, so I have to say this, and I have to say this over and over again, is because not all of us might end up in places whereby you have all of these people in place. So it is now left
Yes.
for you to be able to say, Oga or this, we actually need this kind of person online
Exactly.
here. Or worst case scenario, you have someone that does communication. See, I have actually signed up for a, there was this lady writes very well. Like, if anybody has subscribed to um what's her name, Mo, yes, Mochivius on Twitter, yeah, Mochivius on Twitter, she writes this newsletter, I think every 2 weeks. And see, just based on the writing that she did, I subscribed to her community, to her online community for like 3 months. In fact, I even extended it to 6 months. Even extended it to 6 months based on the value of writing. Writing is something that I wish I paid more attention to, because being able to see, it's one thing that even this class, as me being able to facilitate this class, is that there are certain things that you might know in your head, but when the best way you can only the only way you can teach it is if you actually sit down and actually write certain things out, because writing in a way helps you to clear your thoughts. My certain things you might think by maybe by muscle memory or by brain knowledge, you know them, but it's only when you can write them out that you have a better understanding of even what you know yourself. So trust me, there are some people who knows this. There are people on this call right now that can actually go through a company and see, okay, I can improve your, maybe you are, yes, you start out as a UX designer, you have done your visuals, but you now also take the copy on their website and you rewrite it in a better way, and you send it to them as part of your portfolio. You send it to them, and who knows, you might be lucky to get hired based on the strength of your writing alone. So if you are on this class and maybe you love writing and maybe you're transitioning into UX design, is a skill that you can actually use. Um, is a skill that you can actually use. You know. All right. So so I think we have like 30 minutes left, and um, our class today, the assignment today is to create a UX research using the brief we did from earlier. So create a simple questionnaire, don't worry, don't need to write this down. I'm going to post this inside the Slack channel, and I'll also post it in the Google Classroom. So basically, we have two exercises. First one is to create a UX research based on the brief from earlier. Again, maybe I would need to, before actually posting this, I'll actually need to go through some of the UX briefs. So, Michael,
Yeah.
has Roland given? Okay, you know what? We'll talk about that after the class. We'll talk about that after the class.
Okay.
Um, my class is supposed to end by 12, but who knows? I might actually have to end it before now, so I can rush into another call, please. So, so our exercise for this week is to create a UX research based on the brief that we wrote earlier. So again, if you haven't done that first assignment, it's actually very, very important that you do it, because this is kind of like a stepping stone to that. So we create a simple questionnaire or a survey. So let's say a client comes to you, right, and says they want to build, what example can I use now? Say they want to build a crypto app. yes, you want to um, build an app that allows people to buy crypto. Let's just assume that was what you did in your design brief. Your design brief was um, want to build a crypto app for, say, people between the ages of 30 to 55. Then you now create a UX, now create a simple questionnaire or a survey for an interview that you will use to speak to people within that demographic, or to speak to people who you think would likely be using um, the app. Then the second question is using the methods taught. And I like, Michael, do you have access to this curriculum?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you have. Okay. So using exercise 2 says using the methods taught, analyze the data collected and document them by identifying the key needs of the users of your product. So probably the best way to do this is when you using that questionnaire, using that survey, is to lay out all the responses that you have in a Google Sheet. Then, so using the methods taught, analyze the data collected and document them by identifying the key needs of the users of your product. So in they say that once you speak to eight between once you speak to at least a minimum of 8 people, you would kind of have, and certain things will start repeating, certain patterns will start repeating. So you know that if people are saying, okay, oh, this thing is too this thing is too this term, I don't understand this term. Someone says it again, another person says it again. You know that that is a key part of your research, that when you're building your product, you definitely need to address this, right? Um, if there was I can't, there's none that totally comes to mind for now, but I know there are times whereby we would ask. This was usually in the prototype stage, where we actually build a prototype and would ask people to test it, and they would say they didn't understand. It kept on happening, and we because we're, and the reason was that this is why UX writing is important. The reason was that we we the designers, that big head, we were using terms that were building something for an industry, and we were using terms that were only, over time we came to learn it, right? Speaking to the people over and over, it was a medical app, and but we were using terms that were speaking to a medical person would understand it, but a regular person that wanted to use it didn't quite understand what um, didn't quite understand what that term actually meant. So eventually we start, okay, first person talked about this thing, third person talked about it, fourth, fifth person is kept on complaining about their lack of understanding of this thing. So what we now did was, we still put it there, then just directly underneath it, we kind of gave like a little bit of an explanation towards it. And we noticed that by the second time we went to the field, by this time we weren't just using a prototype, we're actually using like a bare bones um, version of the app, and we tested it with these people from, I think, if I think it was Yaba Tech, yes, and a whole lot of people like had a better understanding of it, right? So um, first off we would have to, for people to be able to do this second exercise, I'll need to give feedback on on the brief that you earlier did. So if you haven't done it again, I will just, let me find the. So Michael, if you can help me, I'm trying to find the link for the Google Classroom. Please, everyone needs to join the Google Classroom, as that's the only way you would be able to share this chat one. Please, would there be a recording of the meeting on YouTube for those who can meet up with the time? Yes, there will be. We're recording. Yes, yes, we're recording. We're recording this, so they would actually upload it to YouTube after this. Let me just find the Google Classroom. Okay, so I'm going to post. I'm posting it again inside the WhatsApp group for those that didn't, and I'm going to post it inside. How come I didn't know about all this researching? We didn't go around the whole we didn't go around the whole school. That we just went to speak to we actually went to speak to people. We went oh wow. This was 20 I think this was 2017. Yeah, I think this was 2017 also. So we just students, please please we want to speak to you. Some people would it's a normal thing. So people will say, okay, please, I'm rushing for classes, I cannot do so we just handed out papers and had people fill them out, and we now took them and imputed them into a spreadsheet, and that was basically our research. Then for those that were willing to give us their um, contact details, we actually invited them into the office to for them to test out the prototype. Okay, so this place I'll post this is inside the Slack channel. So please, if you have any challenges, any technical challenges in terms of joining the Google Classroom, I think all you need is everybody has. Well, I wouldn't want to assume, but almost everybody uses a what's it called, a Gmail account these days. So you just need a Gmail account, I think, to use it. I will post that sometime. I'll post the assignments sometime this evening. I'll post the assignment sometime this evening. All right. So please, if you have any questions, please can you? If you have any questions about some of the things that we talked about today. Oh, something. I think I think there's something else. I don't think I did a slide for it, but I think it's about. Um, Let me see. I think I've closed it. Okay, this is it here. Let me try and find. So please, while we're still waiting for, please, can you just
Okay.
go ahead with your questions?
Good afternoon. Sorry, good morning. Slash afternoon.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Bedamosi Abubakar. Can you hear me? Mr. Gabriel, can you hear me? Mr. Michael, can you hear me as well?
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, here is my first question. With regards to I can hear Mr. Gabriel saying something about the UX research, and he lays emphasis on it very well, like even to the point that it took 9 months to launch the products then. So, but I'm about to ask. Let's say after the program, I'm working with a startup, and we have a product we have to launch. Is it important we just, let me say, start prototyping, maybe have something to show for before venturing into UX research, or we do the research while we are still planning for starting up? That's number one. And number two, on the concept of UI UX writer. So are they the same as all these copywriting and stuff like that? Thank you, sir. Do you get that, sir, Mr. Michael?
I did, and I'm sure
Okay.
Gabriel got that too.
Okay,
So I
sir.
think
We
your
are
first
expecting a
question said,
response.
yeah, your first question said, in terms of, let's say you want to build a product, do you start first by building, then doing the user research, or do you do the user research first, then you start building? Right? Did I get that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So for the ideally, right, you would see. Okay, if you're working, let me just say this: if you're working in a startup, right, some things might not be as linear as some things you read in the books. For instance, I've had instances whereby we start building. I hate this. I hate it there. Let me just say I hate it very much. Whereby And this is usually the problem with developers, those of people that develop products, people that code. They will say, okay, Omo, we have this idea of something. Back, back, open VS code, start writing code. They will build it to a particular level. Then they'll now come and meet me and say, Gabriel, and we have built this thing. Oh, it doesn't look fine. Can you come and help us with design? No, 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 no. Again, this is if you are just a small team, sometimes you might ask yourself, why am I you oh I know the problem very well. Why do I need to do research? Sometimes it's not as straightforward, but it's good that you know that these steps exist, right? There are times whereby most times we started with a prototype. We didn't spend resources, we didn't spend time building the product, but we just started with the prototype. The prototype can be as simple as um, it can be as simple as, let me say, pen and paper. You draw it, and you now ask people like, does this make sense? You draw your buttons, you write, or it could be a Figma, whereby and now you can load, if it's a mobile app for instance, you can do a Figma prototype and put it on your phone and just make people like click and go to the next step. Or you can be as even um more engaging, like using maybe Protopie or Principle or any of these other apps. Sometimes you can start with that and first to see if indeed this thing actually makes sense, so that you don't invest so much time into building. Then eventually you get to a stage whereby like people don't even care about the product. Alternatively, you can actually do both of them side by side. As you begin to think about how would the product look, how would this and that happen, you can actually start talking to people. Nobody says that, oh, you actually have to finish one particular step before you now go to the next step. You can actually do both of them simultaneously. But absolutely, what I would recommend, and something that you should actually tell people who are building, is that they shouldn't start building first without actually speaking with the people who are going to like you shouldn't actually start committing codes on GitHub before you speak to the
Mm.
people that you want to build with, except whereby there are certain cases whereby it is not, the product in itself is not so novel, like people are already, for instance, if someone were to build a car hailing app, for instance, you have people who have kind of gone the way forward. You can learn from them. Say you have the InDriver, you have Uber, you have Bolt. So you know that there are certain things that, for instance, you're not going to build you know that once you go into the app, first thing is that, okay, what is my location? What is my current location? Where is the next location that I'm going to? You kind of, some of these things, you know them over time by reviewing other people's apps. So yes, you can say that's even user research in a way, whereby you're actually reviewing what your competitors have done. Maybe not
Yeah.
necessarily speaking to users, you're actually reviewing what the competitors have done. And a whole lot of times, businesses, and I'm talking about businesses in general and not just startups, is that sometimes all you need to do is, you don't need to recreate the wheel from the start. All you just need to do is improve.
Yes.
Take something that exists and improve on it, and you're killing it. You get as
And
simple.
and and also in that light, most companies that your company, it's like trying to, if you're in the Uber space, using Gabriel's example, Uber has like several locations. They have billions of dollars. The amount of research they've done per location is much more than what you'd ever do at your current state. So there's no point trying to do that same research. Just lift from them and build on it and improve or make it more accessible.
Yeah, for instance, how much of, I know they actually do the research, because it's part of what they do, but how much research do you think was needed to create WhatsApp status, create Twitter fleets, create Instagram stories, when Snapchat had already done it first? They saw that, you get someone had done it, and then, okay, people like this. Even now we have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, Yeah, YouTube has stories, or YouTube should. Yeah,
Yeah,
YouTube has stories.
they have now. Yes.
Yeah, they have stories now. LinkedIn has stories. My goodness, LinkedIn. I think it's remaining for maybe Google Docs to start having stories, and it's all over. But you can actually learn from what other people have done. These people have spent that much time and money to do that research, and you can actually lift from it. But you can't go ahead and say you want to build a product without and totally alienating your users. Now that's like
Yeah, that's
that's
bad.
suicide. Then the second question was what's different? Okay, I said it actually in the beginning. The difference between copywriters and yeah, copywriters are in the marketing space or in the advertising space. Usually that's their name. They are the people that give, and maybe if in fact if we were to extend it to movies, in the movie space they are called script writers, right? They are the ones that write the words that basically it's not just writing words. Yeah, in a way, UX writers or copywriters, they are trying to evoke an emotion from you. It's not just writing things that okay, click it, go here, and this is what they are trying to evoke an emotion from you to get you to encourage you to use their product. Yes. So if someone was if you're in advertising, working in advertising, those are actually transferable skills that you can use as a UX designer or a UX writer. So yes, it's kind of similar. I mean, everyone can just maybe after this class just Google the differences between a UX writer and a copywriter, and you probably get like more detailed information about that.
Yeah, also to add to the UX research thing. So there's Gabriel covered most of it where he talked about, the product not being very new. For example, if you're working at a company that already has users and maybe they want to launch like another feature of that same product. And the reason why they're launching the feature is not that they just feel like it's a cool feature. Maybe the current users they already have are demanding for it, like, oh, we need more of this. And so there's no point going to still ask those same users if they want it again, right? You don't have to like do all of that extensive research. What you can do is, okay, you start building the product, right? And once you launch, you're not looking that, okay, it needs to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect at that stage. And I don't think it ever will be. But what you're looking for is the right amount of feedback, right? Because you probably need to launch that in like 3 months. If not, those customers will start looking for that solution somewhere else. And you don't want that. So it needs to be built really, really fast. So you're not going to spend 2, 3, 6 months doing research. Don't forget they have to code it. So you probably pretty much just have like a month and then let's developers do the build up in like 2 months. So as a UI UX designer, at that stage, your goal is feedback. How much feedback can I get and how fast can I iterate? And don't worry, your users will give you feedback. Chase feedback you want, they will give you a lot of it. So I wanted to add that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, okay. Sorry, just before this goes through my head, because I dabble mostly in web products or websites. Is there was a time when for one of the companies in our portfolio then they wanted to build a forum. They wanted to build a forum, so they wanted to. I think they had like a thriving Facebook community, but the thing with Facebook is that well, it's Facebook. So tomorrow, if they decide that we want to cut you guys off, there's nothing you can do. So they wanted to build like their own forum on their website. They had a website. They had things scattered here and there, maybe Slack, this, Facebook. So they wanted to like bring everything, aggregate all the people into one forum. And okay, we wanted to start. So we advised them on we advise them on okay, instead of building, okay, you can actually decide to build something bespoke from scratch. This is how long it might take. Based on the capacity of your team, you now decide on well, how long are you willing to put into it. We now said okay, we have some other products, forum scripts that you can actually build into your website and get people to sign up and all that. And all of that was great until we now said, okay, wait. Can we do still based on UX research, right? Can we see the analytics of the people that visit your website? Let's see what first, what devices? This is a long time ago, Sha. What devices do they use? And let's just know their capabilities, right? And to the greatest of our greatest surprise, we discovered that quite a chunk of them, again, this is quite a while ago, quite a chunk of them were using um, Opera Mini. And some of the forum software that we were suggesting for them was very, very JavaScript dependent. So basically, Opera Mini, how Opera Mini works for those of us that use Opera Mini back in the days to save data was Opera Mini would route, if you are visiting, say, google.com, instead of going straight to google.com, it will route it through its own servers to compress the page. So any page you're visiting has been already compressed by the Opera servers, then it is now saved to your browser, the Opera Mini browser. So what would happen is that if people were to use that forum script, if they went on to use that forum script, what will happen is the people that are using it through Opera Mini would not be able to use it very well because it would strip out a whole lot of the JavaScript. So at that point in time, that was actually user research. Okay, if you already have users like Michael said on your product, is there a way to get analytics of whether it's from the mobile app, whether it's from the website to find out how are these people currently using their website? If you are redesigning a new website and they are trying to do user research as to, you might not be able to know who are all the people that are visiting your website, right? You might have some customers, but what about checking the analytics to see, okay, the people that are currently using our website, what are the main pages that they go to? What information are they currently always seeking? What pages do we want people to visit and stay longer, but has a very high bounce rate? So yeah, these are different, and user research never truly ends per se. It's not just something that you do and you just say, okay, I've done it, we are going on to the next thing. It is an iterative process. So even after your product has launched, let's say you design your product and maybe you felt that you should have way more sign-ups, but people are not signing up, you'd actually go again and now, okay, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? So it's an iterative process. It's never truly like, you never just do it and ends. But one thing is for sure, if you are a UX designer, one thing is for sure, you can't stay in your air-conditioned office and design something without talking to the people that are going to use it. That's at best, you're basically, or at best you're an artist if you're doing that. You know, you're just an artist, you're just designing things and mocking things together. You need to speak to those people, whether it is an existing product, whether it is a product that is yet to launch. You need to speak to people.
Please, Mr. Gabriel, I can't hear you anymore.
Okay, well, no, I was muted. I was muted. Sorry, did you guys hear what I was saying about the analytics?
No, I didn't.
Yes,
Jeez.
yes, yes.
Okay, you heard. Okay, thank God. I beg you. Okay, sorry. I muted. Guess I must have muted myself down there. So, do we have one more question before we are thrown out for the next class to resume? Let me check the chat. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Okay, Messi. If you create Google Forms to make a research or survey, is it enough, or do you still have to conduct one-on-one? It depends. Yeah, it depends. I think Michael answered it. It depends. Sometimes it's only you might see that on social media a lot. Please retweet. I'm trying to do a research on this. I'm trying to do a research on that. So sometimes, like for me personally, if I'm doing, if sometimes it's anonymous, right? Sometimes it's anonymous. Sometimes you actually want to know the people who are responding to your survey. Sometimes what I would do is in between. I would actually put somewhere, if the survey is not meant to be totally anonymous, I would actually say if you would like us, sometimes we would say something to invite users or kind of to get their buy-in. I'll now put at the end and say, if you would like to have information about the results of this research or what we use this research for, please put in your phone number or your phone number or your email address. Or if you're interested in doing one-on-one interviews, kindly put in. Some people won't put in, some people might put in. So from there you can actually get people, and some people are actually interested to knowing how your progress, how your product has progressed from just the time when you were doing user research to the time when you're actually fleshing it out. And those can actually be your first test users. It's a way to get your first test users cheaply. You can put in a part where you can put in their contact details, and you might be lucky enough to get people that sign up for that. Let's see. See here through. Okay. So for those that have joined the Slack channel, can you see the? Can you find the US group? So you might have to search. When you go to Twitter, you might have to search for UI UX. If you can't see it, you might have to search for it. Just search for UI UX in the. Just search for UI UX in the search bar at the top there. Okay, let me check the WhatsApp. See. Okay, all right. For everyone who has managed to, Roland, do you have any any parting words before you end the class?
No, no, not really.
Okay, Michael, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. All right. So that's it. That's it for today. We're about let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I think we had between 14 to 18 people at some point in time. So please, I would actually recommend for everyone, for everything that we've talked about today, please don't just close your laptops and or close end your phones. Actually go ahead, do more research on them. I'll be posting links on the Slack channel throughout the week on some of this. I'll be going through my pockets to see articles that I probably saved in the past around some of these topics, and I'm going to share them to the group as well, to the Slack channel as well. So this recording would um, be shared eventually with every other person. So for those that missed, you can actually point when it's uploaded anyway. We'll post it in the Slack channel and WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so hopefully, and please do not learn in silence. If there's anything you do not understand, whether it's in submitting the assignments or anything, as much as possible, please post in the Slack. The best way you're going to get value from these classes is if you can actually go ahead and speak to people, if it can actually go ahead and push your issues that you have and what have you. Um, if there are certain things that you are not clear on, I, Chike, Michael will be always available to guide you guys through. Please, that's the best we will be able to learn. So, other than that, I'll say au revoir. Okay, well,